To all the participants in the women's discipleship class at Redemption Church, just again want to let you know that we are going to be conducting our second session on the 27th. That's less than 1 week away. It is a Tuesday evening at 6:30, and we are super excited to see everyone out again. We feel like the first session went so well, and we are excited about where this class is going. We're going to dig in even deeper into what it looks like practically and very specifically to disciple other women and to be discipled yourself. And so we got some really exciting stuff that we're excited about. Again, 6:30 on the 27th, less than 1 week away. That's a Tuesday night at 6:30, and we will be done by 8 o'clock at the latest. Now, if you have other options for childcare, please take advantage of them for those of you who have children. If you do not, if for some reason there is an emergency and need childcare for that evening, please let us know. We're going to try to get that set up for those that desperately need it. Again, use that as your second option, not your first. So if you have other options for childcare, please take advantage of those. If not, then we'd like to do our best to provide some of that for you. But please let us know. Okay, for those of you who were at the first session, the rest of this video is going to just be a simple overview of the content of that first session for those who were not able to attend the first session. So you're welcome to keep watching if you were there, but again, it'll all be review from here on out. Okay, so for those of you that are getting ready to just shut this thing down, go for it. Looking forward to seeing you next week at 6:30 on the 27th, Tuesday evening at 6:30 there at the Orpheum Redemption Church. For those of you who were not there, stay tuned. I'm going to talk to you about what we went over during the first session. Okay, now I had said that I was going to do my best. You can see the agenda here now, and it is also attached below if you'd like to look at it. I said I was going to try to videotape the first session. I blew it. I did not accomplish that task. And so I set up the video camera, but the videotape that I used was evidently corrupt. It was very jittery. The audio was terrible. I couldn't manage to salvage that that film, so I apologize. What I want to do is just have the agenda up here and go through what we talked about very quickly. If you have any more in-depth questions, you can let me know. I'm going to try to go through this entire agenda in less than 6 minutes, so it's going to be very consolidated, but if you have any follow-up questions, please let us know. We'd love to answer those for you if you have any questions about the content. But hopefully this will help you feel caught up to the point where you can step into session 2 feeling like you're not 2 steps behind where everybody else was at. Okay, so let's start again. Welcome, you get that. That wasn't that great. It was me anyway. I just said, hi, how you doing? And we jumped right into the class. One thing that was a part of that was excitement. Again, I cannot reiterate how excited we are to be going through this class with you guys. And so we spent some time just literally gushing about the privilege that we had, the opportunity that we had to run this class. Now, we did some explaining about how we got here. We talked about how we got to the place where we were having this class. Now, we went through some passages. Now, you can write these down. If you're watching right now, you can hit pause if you need to and grab a piece of paper. We read through Matthew chapter 28. We read through Colossians 1:28 through 29. We read through Ephesians 4:11 through 16. And we read through Titus 2:1 through 14. Again, those passages were Matthew 28, Colossians 1:28 through 29, Ephesians 4:11 through 16, and Titus 2:1 through 14. And again, Josh spoke a little bit, not super in depth, but a little bit into how each of those passages apply to us moving forward towards women's discipleship and holding that as a value at Redemption Church. Another thing we talked about, so obviously biblically, that's one of the ways we got here is through biblical instruction and kind of a biblical call to see this happening, see women's discipleship be happening, or basically just discipleship, person to person, but specifically in Titus, the encouragement that that be, in many cases, done woman to woman. And so that's a hope and something we value and something we desire to see come about at Redemption Church. We are a church that's done very well at reaching the men, okay, and that's a very valuable demographic, an underreached demographic in our society. Another reason why we are where we're at is because we emphasized reaching men in a way that there were things happening, okay, so we were trying to develop leaders, trying to do a leadership development type aspect here, and specifically for eldership. That's biblically, and we can answer any questions you have about this, but that's biblically reserved for men, and so men got a lot of specific training who maybe were going towards that elder path, for instance. So the roles of biblical manhood and womanhood influenced a little bit about how we got here to one day kind of waking up and saying, hey, there's a felt need in this church. There's a felt need at Redemption Church for women's discipleship, and we've done less than we can to address that. And so let's address it together. And this is why where this women's discipleship class has come out of, is that. And so again, we can explain that to you more if you really have any questions about it. But just this is us just super excited to take advantage of this opportunity to meet a felt need that we've had expressed to us over the last year to 18 months of let's see more discipleship happen for women. Okay, now we're going to define that term very specifically in the upcoming session. What do we mean by discipleship? We talked a little bit about that in our first session. That discipleship is something that the leaders aren't doing from the top down. It's something that all of us as members of the body of Christ should be doing for each other. A lot of the things that we were doing for men that might have been recognized, or have been doing for the men that might be recognized as men's discipleship, or actually leadership development of men. Okay, and so hopefully there may be leaders that come out of this class, leadership development that happens for women as well. But that wasn't necessarily, we weren't necessarily worried about discipleship for men intentionally, although it was something that was happening through leadership development. What we were, or what we are hoping happens, is that in our gospel community groups, all of those of us who are members of the body of Christ are discipling one another, that we're loving one another in such a way, that we're proclaiming the gospel to one another in such a way, that we're living out the gospel with one another in such a way that we are able to move one another towards Christ's likeness in those day-to-day and community relationships that we have. Okay? But there are times, okay, where that's not happening. And there are even times where there might be women who are falling through the cracks, or even more specifically, maybe women who feel that my gospel community group is not providing for me the discipleship that I need. And so we said, let's course correct ourselves here. It wasn't that we weren't thinking about having women be discipled or thinking about men being discipled, but we obviously need to make some changes here in the direction that we're taking. So something that we have always valued, but maybe we're not achieving at the level that we've wanted to, and we're recognizing that from the feedback we're getting. How can we course correct what we're doing and begin reaching out to and impacting and developing methods and a culture of discipleship for the women of Redemption Church. So that's where we're at, and that's how we got here. And again, session 2 is going to really hone in on the specific plan that we have and desire that we have to see this happen, and how we hope to pull it off. Okay, so that's a really long explanation for how we got here. Now again, why are we here? If you want to, you can pause this video right now and think about that question. That's something we did. Maybe you can write it down. Again, there was a chance that we had for feedback in that session, that first session, but we asked everybody to take a piece of paper and write down, why are you here? So we took some time out to do that, and then we came back to that later in the session and we talked those things through. So if you want to stop and think about that, why are you going to be involved in this class, and maybe write that down. You can even bring it with you to the next session, perhaps there may be an opportunity to share that. Not sure, but anyway, that was something we wanted people to think about. Ways we think about discipleship was the next point here on our agenda, and so we talked about this very in depth. I'm going to skim over it so quickly. If you need more in-depth information about it, please let me know. But we thought we talk about the woman, the marriage or family, the message, and the mission. These kind of being the buckets where we want to see people being transformed into the image of God. So the actual person themselves, so that would be the woman, who you are as a person, your character, those sort of things, personality, those things. So making sure that you're grounded in the gospel and you love Jesus and those sort of things of who you are. And then what relationships are you in? So marriage is a one that many are in but not all. So maybe it's a dating relationship or a marriage relationship or a mother relationship or whatever it is, but what do those relationships look like in light of the gospel? The message, so knowing theology, knowing the message of the gospel in such a way that you're able to articulate it and share it and rest in it and know it, sort of that. And then the mission, where ministry-wise are you involved? And so discipleship kind of molding all those facets of who we are and what we do as people. So the woman, the marriage or family relationship type things, the message, and the mission. Okay, and then we went from there, kind of hashed that out some, but not much. And then we talked about our way forward. We said, now what? That was where we got feedback from all the people who were there, from those cards where they'd answered that question, why are you here? And then we talked about our way forward. And we just talked about a deep desire that we have out of this class is for the women of Redemption Church to know the gospel, to know it very, very well. What is the gospel? What does it mean? What are the implications of it in our lives and in the church, etc.? We want our women to be equipped to grow spiritually. So the women of Redemption Church are now also, we want them to be equipped, to feel equipped, to be certain that they are equipped to grow spiritually. So whether that's resourcing and relationships and all of these different facets involved in that, equipped to grow spiritually, rock solid in what it means, what biblical womanhood is. And so we're going to spend some time there throughout these sessions as well. But we want, that is another goal. And then Titus 2, and again, it calls them older women, and that can be insulting, but what it really means is the more mature women of Redemption Church taking the less mature, and again, that's spiritually mature. So that maybe those who have been Christians longer have progressed further by God's grace in their walk with Christ, in their sanctification, taking the newer Christians under their wing and helping to disciple them. So again, 4 kind of ways forward. Let's have a church full of men and women, but specifically for this class purpose, women who know the gospel, who are equipped to grow spiritually, who are rock solid on their identity within the biblical definition of womanhood, and then a place where more mature Christian women are taking less mature Christian women and bringing them along in the gospel through discipleship. So those are kind of the way forward. Now I am way over time, but let me just go, this last part will fly, so just hang with me for about 1 more minute. The next steps that we encouraged you to take were join the city, specifically the group on for women's discipleship. Get in a gospel community group. So if you're not in one, please get in one. Then we can help you do that. Get on a ministry team if you're not on one yet. And again, if you're not on a ministry team yet, we can help you with that. Join Redemption Church. Again, we're going to invest our time in you as individuals in this women's discipleship class. We ask that you consider the same investment back into Redemption Church by membering up. And then we listed when the meetings will be. Obviously, the next one is October the 27th. You can see here that the next one after that will be December the 1st. And then there will be 3 more meetings. One in January, one in February, and one in March. And so because of that, we don't have specific dates for January, February, March yet, but that'll be the course, or the way this course goes, and in March we'll wrap things up. If you do not have a copy of the book Explicit Gospel by Matt Chandler, we're recommending that you buy that and start reading in that book. We're not going to have any assignments on October the 27th related to that, but we encouraged you to start maybe reading the first 3 chapters. So that's everything. It took me just a little bit longer than I intended. I do apologize for that. If you have any questions at all concerning any of this content, I know it was like drinking from a fire hose and you just heard it really, really quick, then let Pastor Josh or let myself know, and we'll get those answered for you, and hopefully we'll see you all on October the 27th, Tuesday, at 6:30 p.m. at the Orpheum. We're excited to continue this course. Thank you all so much.